Hi, I'm Ruth Shapira, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome to this podcast by Inner Judaism, a spiritual look at our lives. In this episode, we'll explore how becoming aware of our everyday actions can add meaning to our lives. The hectic pace of our lives doesn't really lend itself to self-reflection, and although we might engage in meditation or a practice of breathing to help us focus on the present, we may not engage in a practice of self-awareness. I'll explain this a bit more, but first, find a comfortable place to sit where you won't be interrupted, and turn off or tune out other distractions. But turn on that portion of your brain that's open to new ideas and new ways of thinking. Ready? Let's start with a brief breathing exercise that will help us relax and be open to new ideas. You may want to place your palms on your lap, preferably open in a receiving mode, and you can close your eyes or gaze down. Release all thoughts and begin to relax, noticing your breath. Don't worry if thoughts come through your mind. When you just notice your inhale and your exhale, that will help you to be in the present moment. So inhale slowly and exhale slowly. And do this each time to a count of 4 to even out your breath with each inhale and exhale. Gently accept each breath as you inhale and gently release your breath as you exhale. Do this 2 more times. Now, you can gently open your eyes or gaze up or keep your eyes closed. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, in his work Path of the Just, Mesilat Yesharim in Hebrew, is a seminal Musar text, and he describes there the character trait of awareness, which is zihirut. It's traditionally translated there as watchfulness, but today we know it as awareness and mindfulness. But let's look a little closer. Let's examine the Hebrew word zihirut, because when we know the essence of the word, it helps us understand the full meaning of it and any implications that we need to get from it. So when we look at the root word of zihirut, we see that there are 3 letters, Zayin, Hey, and Resh. Zahar. This means to shine and to illuminate. If you're thinking this sounds like the Kabbalistic work of the Zohar, you'd be right. The verb lahazir means to enlighten, but interestingly enough, it also means to alert, to warn, and to caution. What does this mean? What does it mean to have a combination of illumination, enlightenment, and warning and caution? When we think about it, zihirut as a practice means that this awareness will enlighten us. It will illuminate our actions. But there's also the potential to provide us with essential information that will alert us to our behavior and perhaps caution us in its effect on others and ourselves. This Hebrew meaning tells us that just becoming aware, just becoming enlightened is not really enough to change our actions, but we need to use this awareness as a caution, as an alert for our future actions. So there's really a twofold process for awareness. Just becoming aware doesn't guarantee that we can change. And we know this from our own experience. We know that being aware of what we eat doesn't mean that we're going to change what we eat. We know that being aware that we're not exercising doesn't help us change to do exercising. So what we really need to do, Rabbi Luzzatto says, is that we have to investigate on two levels. First, we have to think about any action that we do. What is really good for a person, what's good for us, and what's good for other people. And its opposite, what might be detrimental to ourselves and what might be harmful to others. So the second thing we need to do is to judge after the fact whether that action was in the category of being in the good or being in the negative. And this thought process should occur at all times, whether we're actually in the moment and doing something or reflecting on our actions afterwards. So with this understanding, being aware is definitely not passive. In fact, it's very hard work. If every action we do is placed on a scale in order to better understand it and master our behavior, that's pretty intensive. But then we know what we're working with when we try to change. We're kind of being honest with ourselves. And then we try to vanquish whatever's not positive within ourselves by developing a strategy for how to deal effectively with a situation in the future. But I will say we also need in this process to reinforce with a sense of love our positive actions, the positive in ourselves that we have done. We shouldn't judge ourselves too harshly. We need to remember that we're created in B'Tselem Elohim with a spark of the divine. And we're on a path. We're on a journey. Would you judge someone harshly who's trying to climb a mountain but might stumble? No, you'd give them credit for attempting the climb in the first place. So we have to regard ourselves in the same way, being a cheerleader for ourselves, being kind to ourselves, by being patient, knowing that we too are on a path, but we're on a path of spiritual refinement. There are situations that come up in our lives every day that we can learn from. But unless we devote time to this process of self-reflection, those opportunities disappear. They slip through our fingers. This awareness, having more Zehirut, can be transformative. In what ways can you become more aware of your actions? In what ways can you have more Zehirut? Can you have more awareness? Can you set aside time at the end of the day to reflect on your actions? What if you would journal about it or write about how you might say or do things differently? Again, without judgment. Try not to be a critic. Just note the action. Note, as Luzzatto says, the category of the action. Was it positive or was it detrimental? Just becoming aware, and then think of how next time you would create a strategy to do something differently. With this practice, you're empowering yourself to have greater mastery over your entire being, and you'll be engaging in a spiritual path of enlightenment. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you will begin the practice of becoming more aware, to have more Zehirut, and through this awareness, bring more holiness into the world. Please subscribe and follow this podcast so it could be shared with more people. Better yet, encourage others to listen as well. Wishing you a glorious day and the ability to make this day better than yesterday.